Hey, welcome to my August 2021 update of the best current accounts here in the UK. In a moment, I will take you through the accounts which I think are going to be the best for making money. So things like getting rewards, bank switching bonuses, earning interest, or maybe even saving money, ones that have the cheapest overdrafts, or maybe don't charge you to spend overseas. Those and many more coming up in a minute. Before that, as ever with these updates, I'd like to tell you what's been going on since my last video, so in the last sort of 4 weeks or so. And this week, there are two big stories to tell you about. One of them involves Tesco Bank and the other one involves Monzo and their latest reports there about whether is there a danger that they probably could go under. So I'll talk about that in a second. First of all, let's deal with that Tesco Bank story. And this is bad news if you do use Tesco Bank. You've probably heard this already or had a letter in the post. If not now, you will do soon. They are going to close down every single current account by the end of November this year. Now, the vast majority of people who still have a Tesco current account, it's about 200,000 odd people still have an account. They don't use it as their main account. I imagine a lot of these people had it when it was offering a decent rate of interest. And when they stopped doing that, God, coming on for 2 years ago now, they probably stopped using that account. It was never their main account anyway. So any money they had in there, they probably transferred it out and it's just sitting there as a dormant account. I think that's the majority of people. There are a small number. It works out about 12% of the total customers. I think the figure's around 26,000 people. So not an insignificant number if this is you, if this is impacting you. Still a lot of people who need to do something, but nothing like what you might see if some of the bigger banks decide to close down. Anyway, if you are using it day in, day out as your main bank account, then it's really, really vital that you do something, you take some action. And even if you've got a dormant account you don't use, you can still do something similar as well, maybe come out quids up as a result. So what do you want to do? Well, ideally, you want to switch this account to another bank. Yes, I'll go through those options later on, so I won't cover it right now. But if you switch using the current account switch service, then you are guaranteed not only will all your money that's currently in there, all your standing orders, direct debits, in and out, all those payments will be moved over within 7 working days. You can set a date later on if you want. Not only will that happen, but if something does go wrong, and it's very rare that anything does go wrong, but you'll be compensated for it. Plus, those payments will be monitored indefinitely. So if someone, let's say you gave your bank details to a mate years ago and they owe you some money and they send it to that account rather than your new account, then that will be transferred over as well. So you want to do that switch. I think that's the best thing to do. In terms of switching bonuses, which I'll get to later on, what I would say is, well, you've got, well, it's August now, start of August. You've also got September and you've got October and you'll have most of November. So you might want to wait out and see what other bank switching bonuses come along. There's not too many right now, so you might want to hold off a little bit. There's no rush to do this. As I say, that switch can happen within 7 working days. So as long as by the middle of November you've started that process, you'll get your new account, plus hopefully you'll get a nicer bonus for doing that. If you are overdrawn, and this is really important, if you're overdrawn, you do have to pay that money back before they close the account. If you think that's going to be a problem, get in touch with Tesco Bank and try to arrange some kind of repayment plan. You might still be able to switch with an overdraft. I'll take you through later on the best 0% overdrafts, and if not, maybe a few cheaper options for you. So you might still be able to do this even with an overdraft, but it's better to kind of try and see what you can do. If you do owe any money, an overdraft, try and get rid of that anyway, because it's going to cost you a lot of money. Incidentally, they are launching Tesco. It's not a replacement, but they're doing a kind of club card pay debit card. It's not going to have the ability for you to do standing orders and payments, but you can use it to pay at the tills and pay elsewhere and earn some club card points. Now, there are very, 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 very few advantages, I think, to having this card. It's not been fully released yet, so I will cover it in more detail next month, hopefully, maybe the month after when it is properly released. But if you are someone who shops at Tesco regularly and you think, oh, well, I'll just open up one of these because I can't use my Tesco Bank debit card, I think they're going to be better options. And in fact, I think using just a normal cashback credit card, which I've detailed in other videos as well, is going to earn you more than those club card points most of the time. Now, the other news story I want to get into before we get into the list of the best current accounts involves Monzo. Now, Monzo is a fantastic bank. The app is one of the best ones out there. I really think generally that if you're looking for a bank to help you track your spending, to help you find smart little ways to save a little bit extra, you can't beat it. I think it's a really, really good proposition. Unfortunately, the business model itself isn't as successful as the app. A year ago, in their annual report, almost exactly a year ago, the annual report revealed that there were real worries about whether it could continue as a business over the next 12 months. The quote was material uncertainty that they'd have enough money to keep going, but they felt confident that there was enough money available elsewhere in the business or via other kind of fundraising activities that they would be able to get through the year. Well, they did. Monzo is still here, and it's time for another annual report that came out just in the last few days. And it's kind of repeated that same message. They're still saying there are material uncertainties around the ability of Monzo to survive. Now, again, that doesn't mean they will go under. They think they are a going concern. They think they will be able to sort of survive, but there is still a very, very high chance that they won't have the funds to do this. So what does that mean for you if you're a Monzo customer or thinking of going to Monzo? Well, let's start off if you're an existing Monzo customer. Let's deal with that. Should you be worried? Well, I mean, this is quite strong in their words that this is it is a kind of risky area. It's not like, yeah, don't worry, we're fine. They are kind of like, look, there's a chance we might not be able to carry on. What you need to remember, if you're a Monzo customer, if they were to go under, very importantly, that they are protected by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme, the FSCS. And this protects any money held in a bank or institution that's covered by that up to £85,000. There's also, it can be a little bit higher than that in temporary measures like an inheritance or a house move or something like that. But on the whole, 85k of your money will be given back to you by the government if the bank was to go under. So if Monzo goes under, as long as you have less than 85k, you'll get that money back. Might take a few days, maybe a week or so to get that, which isn't going to be the most convenient thing, but at least you'll get it. And in fact, you shouldn't really have in Monzo that amount of money there at all, because you're losing out on, even though interest rates aren't great, you're still losing out on some significant interest rates if you had your money elsewhere. So I wouldn't have thought anyone's going to have anywhere near that. So your money is fine. That's the first thing to remember. Of course, if they did go under, I would also imagine it wouldn't be sort of like, turning off the lights straight away. There's such a good proposition that there'll be people trying to buy them potentially at quite a low price if this was to happen. Again, it might not happen. They might be fine. They might get loads more money coming in, and the pandemic might sort of, that's obviously impacted them. It might be able to kind of find ways to come off the other end of it. But let's say it doesn't, so they do struggle. Someone will come in, I'm sure, and it will just carry on as a going concern. And then you can kind of decide whether you want to move out with something else to a different bank or not. Now, if the worst came to the worst, though, and it really was like, right, we can't survive anymore, we are shutting up shop, then that obviously would not be fantastic. Yes, you'd get your money back, but you'd have that inconvenience of how do you actually access do your banking? Where does your salary go? Where do your bills come out of and things like that? And this is why I say, and this isn't just about Monzo struggles, I say this about any bank that you've got. You should have more than one account, ideally 2, 3 or 4 different accounts, but certainly more than one, because that gives you an option. If it's got some money in there, you've got that ability to therefore access that cash, potentially apply for an overdraft if you needed to, but ideally you wouldn't want to do that because it'd be quite expensive. You could change your standing orders to that bank. You could change your direct debits to that other account. You could get your salary paid into that other account. You can do all of that. So I would just make sure you have more than one account, whichever bank you have, but especially if one of those accounts is Monzo, if your only account is Monzo. Again, a whole other video I've got taking you through the details of all those reasons of the different types of accounts I think you should be looking at. So yes, it's a worrying time. They're also, it's been revealed in the annual report, under an investigation from the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, which is the government's watchdog, for potentially breaching the rules on money laundering. So if that does sort of come through and they find they've done something particularly bad there could be a huge fine, which if they're already making losses, then an extra fine on top isn't going to help that sort of precarious situation. But I'm not overly worried right now. I would say if you've got a Monzo account, just stick with it. But it's definitely one to keep an eye on. Any developments, I obviously will let you know in these updates. I'd love to know what you think about Monzo. Are you going to ditch them in light of this news, or are you going to stick with them for now? Let me know in the comments below what you think you're going to do. Right, let's get into my pick of the best current accounts here in the UK for August 2021. And let's start off as ever with the best bank switching bonuses. Now we've actually seen a load of these disappear. The cash bonuses in the last 2 or 3 weeks, end of July, start of August, the ones from First Direct, HSBC and Halifax for the Ultimate Reward account all went. And that left just a couple of sort of voucher-based offers available. However, in the last few days, HSBC has come back in. So they had like a week with no rewards. They've come back in with a new reward. It's 140 quid, which I think is possibly one of the highest ones we've seen for a cash bonus since the pandemic began. So the last sort of 18 months or so. This is only available on the HSBC Advanced account, and it's only available if you go via Money Saving Expert or Money Supermarket. They're the same group. Money Supermarket owns Money Saving Expert. They've negotiated this special deal, 140 quid. It's only available for the next sort of week or so. That one will then end, and I wouldn't be surprised if another offer comes back directly with HSBC, but it might not be as good. I also hope, and this is where last year we started to see a lot of the banks, obviously didn't do anything during the whole pandemic, but in sort of September time, we started to see other banks introduce offers. So I would hope, even though right now there aren't many, we might see more September, October, November and December from the likes of NatWest and Lloyds, maybe Halifax again. Can't promise you this, but I would expect we'll see some bit more competition coming back shortly. So that's the top one, 140 quid. It's the only cash one available for you right now. The Virgin Money M Plus account switching offer is still the same. It's £150 Virgin Experience Days voucher. I don't think that's a particularly good one. But again, if you are going to use that, then may as well snap it up. Plus, there's a charity donation that comes with that. There's also, this isn't a bank switching offer. This is a referral offer. This is with Triodos, which is the ethical bank. I'll talk about more about that in a minute. But if you go via a referral link, and I do have one of those links over on the blog, you can get a £60 voucher to use at either Ethical Superstore or Neil's Yard. Or you can choose instead to make that a charitable donation to one of their causes they're supporting. Plus, the person who refers you, there's 25 quid that also goes to those charities on their behalf. So there are some ways to make a little bit of money or a decent charitable donation right now, but not as many as we've been used to. Now, if you're a high earner, then you might be able to get the Barclays Premium Banking account. And if you get that, there's also the option to add on something called Avios Rewards. This costs you £12 a month, but essentially the points you will earn in Avios points will knock that one out. So what's the point? Well, there is a welcome bonus that in Avios points, if you get that, and there are criteria attached to this as well, convert those Avios points into Nectar points, it's worth around £200. Again, more details and all of that over on the website. Sticking with making money, the best current accounts to earn you some interest remain the same. The Virgin Money M Plus current account will still pay you 2.02% on the first £1,000 that you have saved in that account. You can also have multiple versions of this. You can get one, then apply for another one, apply for another one. There's no guarantee that Virgin will let you have these extra accounts, but I know of people with readers and followers who have said they've got about 14, 15 of these accounts, so you could do that if you want to. However, going on to the next section, in the reward accounts, the ones that will pay you money every single month, these generally will make you more money every month and over a year than you would get from extra Virgin Money M Plus accounts with the interest. So I would prioritize these over extra Virgin accounts. The best one still remains the same, is the Halifax Reward account. This will give you £5 a month or free cinema tickets or 2 free movie rentals every single month. You do have to jump through a few hoops. I've got more details on how you do that and what you do over on the blog. It's really important you read those terms and conditions and find the ways to get the most out of this. Really, you want to be spending £500 on your debit card rather than having £5,000 saved in your account. They're the two main ways to do it. Again, more explained over on becleverwithyourcash.com. The next best reward account, I think, is probably the Santander 123 Lite account. This gives you cash back on your household bills. Might earn you 40 quid, 50 quid, 60 quid. It depends on the size of your bills. But as long as you, or maybe if you're a couple, you do it as a joint account, you are paying these bills, all those bills out of an account, then you'll make some easy money because you're paying for these things anyway. You're spending this money, you may as well get that return. The other reward accounts that you might want to look at, and again, I've got a whole video that takes you through all the different options, so check that one out for a lot more detail. But the best ones after this one are the Club Lloyds current account, which will give you 6 free cinema tickets or 12 movie rentals or a magazine subscription. Plus, there's the potential to earn some interest on your savings there as well. So that's my next pick. After that, you could look at the NatWest reward account or the RBS reward account. They're basically the same account, but with 2 different banks. You can get 36 quid a year from that. And the Barclays Blue rewards, that's also worth £36. Now let's talk about overdrafts now. The best one remains the Nationwide Flex Direct account. If you haven't had this account before, the first year you get this account, just for that first 12 months, you will get a 0% overdraft. So that really can help you reduce the cost, wipes out all the interest you've been paying on that debt. How much you get can vary, but again, it's the best option out there because it could be a lot better than the other ones available. Next one, First Direct, £250, 0% buffer. After that, Lloyds Bank will give you a £50 buffer. So they're all worth considering. If they're not available to you and you can't find other ways to reduce the cost of your overdraft, Monzo and Starling, potentially, no guarantee, but they could give you an overdraft as low as 19%, could be nearer 30%, could be nearer 40%, and that is pretty much what everyone else is charging, around 40%. But it's worth considering if those cheaper options aren't working out for you. Fee-free spending overseas, another great way to save some money from your current account. Again, we're looking at Starling as the #1 option there. After that, Virgin Money doesn't charge you to use your card or take out money. So that's another good bet. If you've already got that, you might want to consider it, because for the interest, you might consider it for spending overseas. Beyond that, Monzo and Monese aren't bad ones at all, but there will be restrictions on how much you can use in terms of taking money out of a cash machine. And with Monzo, that's at home as well as abroad. Next up, the budgeting accounts, the spending accounts, the ones that are going to help you really track your spending, the ones essentially giving you the best experience, best banking experience. And once more, my top ones there are Monzo and Starling. They are head and shoulders above the rest. I would have this as your main spending account and maybe have the other ones sort of littered around. You can go to them, sprinkled about if you want to go and use them for the other features such as interest and rewards. But your day-to-day spending, your day-to-day tracking of what you're doing, stick with either Starling or Monzo, bearing in mind what I said about Monzo at the top of this video. And the last section is to take you through ethical current accounts. I've got a whole review in case you missed it, looking at the Triodos bank account. This is the most ethical account out there. You cannot beat it. It does, however, charge £3 every single month, and you don't get anything in return for that in terms of financial remuneration. What you do get, I suppose, is the kind of that warm feeling that you know you're doing a good thing and you're helping others by paying that fee yourself, rather than with all the other banks. Basically, those costs for running the account, they are covered by people in their overdrafts or other kind of ways that banks make money. So this is a much, much fairer way to do it. Don't forget, there is that referral link I mentioned at the top, so you can get either a charity donation in your name or a voucher to use an ethical shop. After that one, you might want to look at any building society. Again, Nationwide is very good here. It scores very well in terms of ethics, but all building societies do. Starling also has a pretty decent reputation, but they are definitely going down the rungs a little bit more. After that, Co-op Bank and Metro Bank are worth considering as well if you do want a high street option. So finally, what are my top 3 banks for August 2021? If you're only going to have a handful of accounts, what ones should they be in my opinion? Well, at number 3, I would go for that Santander 123 Lite account to get cash back on your bills. This is money for nothing. You already are paying those bills. You may as well make a little bit back on top. After that, I would go for the Halifax Reward account. I think this one's the best way to make a little bit of money with very, very, very little effort. You're looking at 60 quid a year, or if you take the cinema ticket option and your cinema tickets are worth more than 5 quid, then that's worth even more. And at number 1, I'm going to go with either Monzo or Starling. Personally, I use Starling. That's the account that I've got, but I think I'd be very, very happy if I'd chosen to use Monzo instead. Just bear in mind, there are concerns about its viability going forward. Now, if you want to get an updated list of all of these things, I will link below to an article over on becleverwithyourcash.com, which lists every single current account you get here in the UK. All the codes, all the links, all the details you need for everything I've spoken about. That's where you need to go next. Before we go, if you found this video useful, please do hit that thumbs up button and click like, leave me a comment. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. My name is Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, cheers. And here are a couple more videos you might find interesting.